In a battle between Odin, the supreme god of Norse mythology, and Dr. Manhattan, the superhuman entity from the Watchmen universe, who would win if there were no limits to his power? Dr. Manhattan, despite his superhuman powers, has clear limits. He experiences time in a unique way where the past, present, and future merge into one eternal present. However, he cannot change his predetermined fate. Under the gray sky of an Asgardian sunset, the golden palace of the gods glittered like an eternal flame. Odin, the supreme god, stood tall on his throne. His silver hair fluttered in the cold wind. His sharp eyes, filled with 1,000 years of wisdom, scanned the endless space. Before him, a strange entity appeared. Not human, not divine, but an embodiment of pure energy, Dr. Manhattan. His skin was blue, emitting a soft light. His eyes were empty, but seemed to contain the entire universe. Not a word of greeting, not a sign of hostility. Both of them just stood there, silently assessing their opponent. Odin, with the spear Gungnir in his hand, felt an unusual energy from the entity before him. He had faced great monsters, mighty gods, but this was the first time he had faced an entity that did not belong to any of the laws of the 9 realms. Dr. Manhattan, meanwhile, sees through Odin, not with his eyes, but with a timeless awareness. He sees every moment of the god's life, from his birth in the icy depths of Niflheim to the battles that shaped Asgard. But strangely, he cannot see clearly into the future of this very confrontation. A blind spot, a rare thing for him, is clouding his vision. Odin spoke first, his voice deep and thunderous. "Who are you, one who bears neither the form of god nor man, and dares to enter Asgard without bowing?" Dr. Manhattan, his voice flat and emotionless, replied, "I am John Osterman, or rather what remains of him. I have not come to challenge, but if this is the will of fate, I will meet it." Odin frowned, the spear Gungnir vibrating slightly in his hand. He felt the power of this being. Not the power of muscle or magic, but a form of atomic energy, pure and immeasurable. He had heard prophecies of a being that could break all the laws of the universe, and now, that being stood before him. "You speak of fate," Odin continued, "but fate is mine to decide. What can you see, you who call yourself beyond time?" Manhattan tilted his head, the light from his body flickering like distant stars. "I see everything, but not everything clearly. Past, present, future, they are all one to me, but even I have blind spots. A tachyon explosion, a powerful enough event, can obscure my vision. Are you, Odin, such an event?" Odin laughed loudly, his laughter echoing through the golden corridors of Asgard. "You speak of blind spots, but I am the one who looked into Mimir's well, sacrificing an eye for wisdom. You may see time, but I am the one who shapes it." The conversation between these two beings was more than words. It was a clash of two philosophies, two ways of looking at the universe. Odin, with the power of a god, believed that he could shape fate with will and force. Manhattan, on the other hand, is the embodiment of acceptance, an entity trapped in his own perception, unable to change what he sees. Without warning, Odin raised his spear, Gungnir, a golden light bursting from its tip. A blast of divine energy, carrying the power of the 9 realms, shot straight at Dr. Manhattan. The space around him shook. The marble columns of the Asgardian palace cracked under the pressure, but Manhattan did not move. The blast touched him, and for a moment it seemed to swallow the blue body. But then, like a mirage, Manhattan re-emerged on the spot, unscathed. "Your power is powerful," he said, "but it is only a part of the universe. And the universe I know better than anyone." Odin did not flinch. He summoned storms from the skies of Asgard, huge bolts of lightning that struck Manhattan. Each bolt had enough power to destroy a mountain, but they dissipated upon contact with his body, as if disintegrating into invisible atoms. Manhattan raised his hand, and the space around him began to warp. The golden walls of Asgard twisted, as if twisted by an invisible force. "You think you can bend my reality?" Odin roared, summoning the power of Yggdrasil, the world tree that connected the 9 realms. A green light erupted, enveloping him, and in that moment, he was not just a god, but the embodiment of the entire Norse universe. Manhattan, for the first time, seemed taken aback. He sensed this power, not ordinary atomic energy, but something deeper, tied to the very nature of reality. Odin continued to attack, using every power at his disposal, from ancient magic to the power of the gods. Manhattan began to realize something. Odin was not just a physical entity, but a living will, a symbol of steadfastness. Each of Odin's attacks was aimed not only at Manhattan's body, but at his very consciousness. And then something unexpected happened. A tachyon explosion, from nowhere, exploded in the air. A blinding light enveloped them both, and for the first time, Manhattan felt his vision blurred. He could not foresee Odin's next attack. In that moment, Gungnir, the invincible spear, rushed forward, piercing Manhattan's body. Not his physical body, for he no longer existed in the conventional sense, but his energy structure. Manhattan backed away, the light on his body flickering violently. "You created a blind spot," he said, his voice calm but with a hint of surprise. "How did you know?" Odin, with a confident smile, replied, "I do not need to know the future, for I am the one who creates it." In the moment of injury, Manhattan activated some of the power he had wielded in the DC universe. No longer the Dr. Manhattan of Watchmen, bound by the laws of physics, he was now a near omnipotent being. With a wave of his hand, he restored his energy structure, and the space around Asgard began to collapse. The stars in the sky burned out, time slowed, then reversed. Odin, powerful as he was, sensed the change. "You have surpassed your limits," he said, his voice full of warning. "But even so, you are no god." Manhattan did not respond. He raised his hand, and in that moment, all of Asgard was drawn into a time vortex. Odin found himself standing in the midst of ancient memories. The day he sacrificed his eyes for wisdom, the day he fought the frost giant Ymir, the day he witnessed Ragnarok in prophetic dreams. But he was not drawn into the illusion. With a strong will, Odin broke the vortex, pulling both of them back to reality. The battle lasted, not hours, but centuries by human reckoning. Odin used all his powers, from ancient magic to the power of the gods. Manhattan, with his ability to manipulate matter and time, responded with attacks beyond imagination. But both realized one truth: they could not destroy each other. Odin was the embodiment of a universe, and Manhattan was the embodiment of a multiverse. Finally, both stopped, not from exhaustion, but from the realization of the futility of the battle. Manhattan, in a flat voice, said, "We do not belong to the same reality. This war has no meaning." Odin nodded, lowering his spear Gungnir. "You are right, entity, but if you return someday, Asgard will still stand." Manhattan disappeared, leaving Odin alone on the throne. The skies of Asgard returned to peace, but in Odin's mind, the space around Asgard became strangely still. The cracks in the golden walls of the palace began to close, as if Yggdrasil, the world tree, were healing the wounds of the divine realm. Odin, still standing on his throne, did not rush to declare victory. His remaining eye, glowing like a flame, looked far away, as if trying to pierce the veil of reality to find traces of the departed entity. But Manhattan had not truly disappeared. He had been transported into another dimension, where time and space no longer obeyed the usual rules. It was a void where sparkling particles of energy floated like lost stars, with no beginning or end. Here Manhattan felt more at ease than ever, for this place was like his mind, an eternal present, unbound by past or future. But then, a sense of unease crept into his consciousness. A voice, deep as the sound of waves crashing against rocks, rang out from the void. "You think you can escape, entity?" Odin's voice echoed, not from any particular direction, but from every corner of the void. Manhattan turned, and before him stood the figure of Odin, not in the golden armor of Asgard, but in a purer form, as if he had merged with the very essence of the Norse universe. "You have followed me here," Manhattan said, his voice even but curious. "How could a god like you enter this realm?" Odin smiled, the spear Gungnir gleaming in his hand. "I am the one who gazed into the well of Mimir, who hung upon the tree of Yggdrasil for 9 days and 9 nights to understand the secrets of the realms. You may call this place the Void, but to me it is but another branch of the world tree." Manhattan did not answer. He raised his hand and the void began to shake. The surrounding energy particles coalesced, forming intricate structures, as if he were trying to recreate a miniature universe. But Odin wouldn't let him finish. With a wave of his hand, he summoned a storm of magic, green beams of light that wrapped around the structures of Manhattan, destroying them before they could even form. "You cannot create a new world before me," Odin said, his voice low but authoritative. "For I am the guardian of the order of the realms." Manhattan, for the first time, felt a sense of limitation. Though he could manipulate matter and energy with ease in this void, Odin's will seemed a different force, one that could not be broken or destroyed. He realized that, though he could reshape reality, Odin represented something immutable, an idea beyond matter. Manhattan, with his ability to see every moment in time, attempts to recreate the events that have occurred. From the birth of Asgard to Odin's great battles, he wants to prove that, however powerful Odin may be, he is but a part of a time stream that Manhattan can manipulate. But Odin is not so easily subdued. For each memory Manhattan relives, Odin responds by summoning images from his own mind. The icy mountains of Niflheim, the fierce battles with the giants, and the prophecies of Ragnarok come to life, as if they were happening right before his eyes. Manhattan, though expressionless, begins to realize that these memories are not mere images, but fragments of an indomitable will, a force that he cannot disintegrate into atoms. "You can see it all," Odin says, his voice ringing like a declaration. "But you do not understand their meaning. Your power is knowledge, but my power is will." Manhattan paused, the light on his body flickering slowly. "Will," he repeated, as if trying to parse the word. "Will does not change reality. It is only an illusion of beings limited by time." Odin laughed loudly, his laughter shaking the void. "Then let me show you how powerful that illusion is." With a simple gesture, Odin summoned the image of Yggdrasil, the world tree, right into the void. The giant tree, with its endless branches, seemed to be alive, breathing. Each leaf on the tree trembled, emitting sounds like the whispers of the ancient gods. Manhattan, for the first time, felt overwhelmed. Not by the physical force, but by the profound meaning of this image. Yggdrasil is not just a tree, but a symbol of connection, of order, of the will to overcome all limits. But then, a strange moment occurred. Manhattan, in a last-ditch effort to overwhelm Odin, reenacted the moment of Ragnarok, the end of the gods. Fires consumed Asgard, giant monsters arose, and Odin himself fell before the wolf, Fenrir. But instead of being drawn into this vision, Odin stepped forward, placing his hand on Manhattan's shoulder. For the first time, a being not of his world had physically touched him. "You showed me Ragnarok," Odin said, his voice gentle but commanding. "But you do not understand that even in death I shape my own destiny. Ragnarok is not the end, but the beginning of a new cycle." Manhattan looked into Odin's eyes, and for the first time, he felt a connection. Not a connection between two beings, but an understanding of something greater than power or time. He realized that though he could see every moment, he still lacked the one thing Odin possessed: purpose. "Perhaps," Manhattan said, his voice carrying a note of emotion for the first time, "we don't need to fight." Odin nodded, lowering his spear, Gungnir. "You are not an enemy being. You are part of the universe, as am I. But if you want meaning, find it within yourself, not in time." The void dissolved, and the two returned to Asgard. Manhattan, without another word, vanished into space, leaving Odin standing alone on the throne.